you for joining me on U24. I'm Shamim Kiza. On Friday, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna said that an overnight curfew had been imposed amid mounting concerns over looting in evacuation zones as fires continue to devastate the region. In a statement during a press briefing, he said, "We are not doing this to inconvenience anybody, but doing this to protect the structures, the houses and people that had been ordered to leave the place." Let's have more of the details.
Good morning, Robert Luna, the Sheriff of Los Angeles County. Currently, we have well over 400 sheriff's personnel that are still actively deployed to the fires, in addition to our normal staffing for patrol-related functions throughout the County of Los Angeles. Deputies continue to assist our residents with evacuations. They are performing a lot of humanitarian missions. So many stories to share, don't have time right now. Providing food and blankets to people, rescuing people who unfortunately did not evacuate when they were asked to. So you've heard it over and over up here. A lot of the stories of heroic actions by our deputy sheriffs, police officers, or firefighters, a lot of them are taking place from people who did not choose to evacuate, putting their own lives at risk. So please, if you're asked to evacuate, because it's not only your life you're putting in danger. We continue to conduct roving patrols, manning hard road closures, providing security in evacuation areas to prevent anyone who may be tempted to engage in criminal behavior like looting. It was mentioned earlier before by the supervisor, and I'm going to make this crystal clear to everybody out there. Over last night and this morning, we are up to 20 individuals who chose to go into our areas and deprive these poor people who have been through so much of their property. Absolutely unacceptable. And I'm going to give direction to our department members. As you know, when we have an evacuation order by law, if you remain in that area, you are guilty of a misdemeanor. If you commit certain crimes, it could jump up to a felony. I'm going to be asking our employees to start enforcing that. That is very different than a curfew. Why? Because it's 24/7. I don't have to wait for the sun to go down or the sun to come up. If you are in one of these areas and you do not belong there, you are going to be subject to arrest. I hope that is as clear as I can make it, because our first choice isn't to do enforcement. It's not to make arrests. It's to help people. But if people choose to commit crimes, they're going to be held accountable. And
The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his speech during the African National Congress Gala dinner on Friday, he emphasized the significance of South Africa's presidency of the G20, calling it a vital opportunity to champion the needs of South Africa and the broader African continent. More of the details.
Your Excellencies, High Commissioners and Ambassadors who are also here, and comrades, members of the African National Congress and other fraternal organizations and friends. This is a moment when we should be happy on the eve of the delivery of the message from the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, the traditional message of the January 8th. And we'd like to thank the business people who are here with us, who've bought the tables. We thank you for continuing to support the African National Congress. Thank you very much.
Hundreds marched in Lisbon on Saturday to protest against the police crackdown in the capital's Martin Mons district, which is the home of many migrants. We are immigrants, we are not terrorists, we are not doing anything, any harm, Hassan, one protester, said.
Thousands in Lisbon took part in a demonstration against police violence after several nights of riots triggered by the death of a man shot and killed by police earlier this week. Demonstrators demanded justice for Oder Moniz, the Cape Verdean man shot by Portugal's police force. Protesters chanted the slogan "Justice for Oder" as they demonstrated. Several flags from the Vida Justice movement, which organised the protest, as well as Cape Verde, flooded the city. Meanwhile, the right-wing Portuguese party Chega called for a protest in defence of the police at the same time in Lisbon. That protest brought together around 300 people and lasted just over an hour and a half. In recent days, Portuguese police have reportedly recorded more than 100 incidents of public disturbances in Lisbon.
Hundreds gathered in the German city of Wuppertal on Saturday to protest against the Alternative for German party, which is currently polling in the second place ahead of next month's elections. Footage shows protesters holding hands and marching forward, holding signs reading "Racism is not an alternative" and "Stop the Alternative for German."
The Alternative for Germany party is making waves in German politics, challenging the traditional political landscape and potentially reshaping European parliamentary dynamics. State elections in Brandenburg and Saxony have revealed a dramatic shift in voter sentiment, with the far-right party gaining significant ground. Recent electoral results paint a compelling picture of political transformation. In Brandenburg, the Alternative for Germany, AfD, narrowly missed becoming the largest party, securing 29.23% of the vote against the Social Democratic Party's 30.89%. Similarly, in Saxony, the party demonstrated remarkable strength, capturing 30.63% of the vote. Deutsche Welle reports that the AfD's co-leader, Tino Trupala, attributes the party's performance to growing voter dissatisfaction with mainstream political establishments. The party's strategic focus on migration and economic concerns has resonated particularly strongly in eastern German states. Political analysts suggest these election results are more than just a temporary protest vote. The AfD's performance indicates a deeper transformation in German political consciousness, challenging long-established party dynamics. Endre Borbath, a political scientist, argues that emerging issues like migration and European integration are not adequately represented by traditional political parties. The implications extend far beyond local state politics. With federal elections approaching in February 2025, current polls suggest the AfD could secure approximately 19% of the national vote. This potential scenario could significantly impact Germany's political landscape and European Union policies. Migration remains a critical issue driving the AfD's popularity. The party's hardline stance on reducing immigrant intake has struck a chord with voters concerned about economic and cultural changes. This narrative becomes particularly potent in regions experiencing economic challenges. Economic forecasts add another layer of complexity to the political scenario. The European Union anticipates modest economic growth of 0.8% in the euro area, creating an environment where alternative political narratives can flourish. The AfD's economic proposals, emphasizing national sovereignty and protectionist policies, offer a stark contrast to mainstream political approaches. Crucially, despite the AfD's growing popularity, major political parties remain unwilling to form coalitions with them. This political isolation could potentially limit the party's direct governmental influence, but might simultaneously amplify their rhetorical impact. The upcoming federal elections will be a critical moment for German politics. Current projections suggest the Christian Democratic Union might lead with approximately 32% of the vote, potentially forming complex coalition arrangements. The AfD's performance could indirectly push mainstream parties towards more conservative policies. While the party calls for radical changes in European parliamentary representation, most political experts view their rhetoric as more provocative than practically feasible. The EU remains a deeply entrenched political structure, resistant to wholesale dismantling. What remains clear is the growing political volatility in Germany. The AfD's rise represents more than a simple protest movement. It signals a profound recalibration of political expectations and voter sentiments. As Germany approaches its federal elections, the political landscape continues to evolve in unexpected and potentially transformative ways.
Thank you for watching U24. I'm Shamim Kiza. Be inspired.